So I post my story time so people who are going through the same situation can relate. I don't post them for validation, and I don't care if you don't care. If you really didn't care, why would you leave a comment saying you don't care? You're wasting more time instead of just scrolling if you really didn't care. But for those of you who do care and go through the same situation as me, or same situation that I did go through, these are for you. This is a story time on how I found out my dad wasn't actually my dad. We lived in my grandma's house for a long time, and around when I was 10 years old, my parents got in a really nasty fight, and my dad ended up just walking away from the whole situation. He ended up like just walking out of the house. And my mom came back inside and she was crying. I tried to comfort her, so we went to the room together, and I'm just like trying to hug her. I'm trying to like show her some emotion, and then she's like, "Do you want another dad?" And I was so confused that I had to answer that question. I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "That's not actually your dad. Do you want another dad?" And I was like, sure. I was tense. I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. And then she's like, "Okay, good, because that's just somebody who raised you. He's not your actual biological dad." And now that I think about it, I was like, wow, like that's a terrible way for me to find out just because you guys thought you wouldn't tell me. So my parents used to fight all the time, so I knew he was coming back eventually. So he finally comes back after like 2 weeks, and this was around the same time where I was going to work with my parents. They just didn't want to leave me at my grandma's house, so I'd go to work with them with my little brother. And me and my little brother got in a fight. I don't really remember what happened. I just remember screaming at my little brother saying, "You're not even my brother, like get off me." And then he started crying. He's like, "What do you mean? I am your brother, stop saying that." I was 10. I didn't know that that was a bad thing to do. I wasn't like trying to be spiteful. I just wanted him to understand, like, "You're not my brother, stop hitting me," blah blah blah. I don't know what was going on through my head. But my parents come back in the car and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" And then my brother's like, "She keeps saying that she's not my sister, she's lying, tell her to stop lying." And then my dad didn't know that my mom told me about it, so he was so confused, and he like was pissed at my mom. He's like, "Why would you tell her that?" And she's like, "Well, I'm not lying." And then my mom looked at me and she got mad at me. She's like, "Why would you tell your brother that?" I was like, even after I found out he wasn't my dad, like he still treated me like his own. I had the same last name as him. Like I didn't think anything of it. In the back of my head, I know he's not my actual father, but that's the difference between a father and a dad. I feel like a dad is someone who's always there for you, someone who took care of you, someone who just loved you growing up, or even just for a period of time. And a father, he may be like your biological father, but to me, like that's the difference between a father and a dad, because anybody could be a father, but not everybody could be a dad. So that's why I just like still love him. And even through our bad times, like I have some really bad scenarios with my dad, but he will always be my dad. And sometimes when I do get upset, I refer to him as my stepdad, but then I realize like it's kind of like selfish of me to do that, because even if he is my stepdad, like I still think of him as my dad. I still act like he's my dad. So at the end of the day, he's my dad. No matter what happens, no matter what situation we go through, I will always have love for him. Like he was there for me when my father couldn't be. So I'm just so glad and so thankful that I actually had that in my life.